The Ed Sullivan Theater hummed with its usual late-night energy, the audience buzzing as the house band played a jazzy intro under the bright studio lights. It was a typical Tuesday night for the popular late-night show, a staple of American television known for its sharp satire and political commentary. The crowd, a mix of tourists and locals, settled into their seats ready for an evening of laughter and witty takes on the day's headlines. They expected the host, Stephen Colbert, to deliver his signature biting monologue, blending humor with pointed jabs at the political landscape. But tonight, something unexpected was brewing, something that would turn a routine segment into a cultural flashpoint. The show opened as it always did. The band's upbeat tune faded, and Colbert strode onto the stage, waving to the crowd with his familiar grin. His monologue was sharp, targeting everything from recent Supreme Court decisions to the latest TikTok bans, each punchline landing with the audience's laughter and applause. About 15 minutes in, he paused, adjusting his tie, and turned to the camera with a playful smirk. "Please welcome my guest tonight, a rising voice in conservative politics and former White House Assistant Press Secretary Karoline Leavitt." The announcement drew a mixed reaction. Polite applause from some, silence from others. This was, after all, a late-night audience, one that often leaned heavily left in its political tastes. Karoline Leavitt walked onto the stage with confidence, her smile composed and her posture steady. At 32, she was one of the youngest voices, shaking up conservative politics, a former White House Assistant Press Secretary who'd built a reputation for being tough, sharp, and unapologetically direct. She wore a tailored navy blazer, her dark hair pulled back, exuding a professionalism that contrasted with the casual energy of the studio. She shook Colbert's hand, sat across from him, and the conversation began civilly enough. Colbert cracked a few light jokes about the 2024 elections, and Lee chuckled politely, her responses measured but warm. The audience settled in, expecting the usual banter, a mix of humor and gentle probing. But the tone shifted quickly. Colbert leaned forward, his smirk still in place, and asked a loaded question. "Karoline, let's talk about misinformation. There's been a lot of discussion about political narratives, media bias, and the role your party has played in recent years. What's your take on that?" The question hung in the air, heavy with implication. Leigh didn't hesitate. "Stephen, I find it funny that you're asking about misinformation," she said, her tone steady, her eyes locked on his. "Considering this show spends more time spinning political narratives than CNN on election night." The audience gasped, a ripple of unease spreading through the crowd. Colbert raised his eyebrows, his smile tightening, a kind of smile that hid discomfort. "Well, I guess we all spin things our way, Karoline," he responded, sarcasm lacing his voice. "But we try to do it with facts and a little comedy." Leigh didn't miss a beat. "That's the problem," she said, her voice calm but firm. "People laugh so hard they forget to question the accuracy. Satire doesn't give you a license to mislead." The tension in the studio spiked. The audience clapped uneasily, some booing, others murmuring. Colbert leaned in, his expression a mix of amusement and irritation. "So you're saying I'm misleading people?" he asked, his tone sharpening. Lee turned to him, her composure unshaken. "I'm saying comedy becomes dangerous when it pretends to be news, and viewers forget it's a performance. You joke about democracy, but do your viewers understand the facts, or just your punchlines?" Colbert laughed, but it was forced, his discomfort evident. "Well, I guess we all have our platforms, don't we?" he said, trying to steer the conversation back to lighter ground. "Sure," La replied, her voice steady. "Mine just happens to respect differing opinions." That was the tipping point. Colbert's irritation flared, his tone shifting from sarcasm to scrutiny. "What do you think about election denial, Karoline, since we're talking facts and narratives?" he asked, his question pointed. Lee answered without flinching. "I think the media's selective outrage is the real issue. When Hillary Clinton questioned election legitimacy in 2016, nobody called her a denier. But when conservatives raise legal concerns, it's the end of democracy. That's not journalism. That's hypocrisy. The crowd erupted. Some cheered. Others groaned. The divide in the room stark. Colbert tried to interject, but Le pressed forward, her voice cutting through the noise. And frankly, this platform, your platform, doesn't foster dialogue. It rewards outrage, applause lines, and cherry-picked narratives. That's not conversation. That's performance. Colbert raised his hand, trying to regain control. Okay, he said, his voice strained. This isn't a political debate. It's a talk show. Lay shot back, her tone unwavering. Exactly. So maybe stop acting like your monologues are moral authority. The air in the studio was electric, the tension crackling like a live wire. Crew members exchanged uncertain glances. A producer off camera gestured toward the stage, her movements frantic. Colbert turned to the camera, visibly flustered. Well, folks, sometimes our conversations go a little sideways, he said, forcing a strange smile. We're going to, take a quick break. The screen faded to commercial faster than usual, the music jarring in its abruptness. The audience sat in stunned silence, some whispering to each other, others pulling out their phones to capture the moment. But the real story unfolded off-air during that unscheduled break. According to sources present in the studio, the commercial break didn't diffuse the tension. It escalated it. As the cameras cut, Colbert and Lou exchanged sharp words, their voices low but heated. You can't come on my show and lecture me, Colbert reportedly snapped, his genial host persona gone. Leo stood her ground, replying, I'm not lecturing. I'm speaking truth you don't want to hear. A producer approached, asking Lou to step off stage and into the green room, her tone firm but polite. There was no scheduled return after the break. No handshake, no goodbye. When the show resumed, Colbert didn't mention her again. He moved to the next segment, a lighthearted bit about viral internet trends, as if nothing had happened. But the audience noticed. Social media. Just within minutes, clips of the confrontation began surfacing online, spreading like wildfire. The hashtag #MoreLevsColbert trended globally as viewers dissected the exchange. Some praised Lou for standing her ground, accusing Colbert of trying to bully her with performative questions. She called him out, and he couldn't handle it. One ex-post read, garnering thousands of likes. Others criticized her tone, calling her disrespectful or combative. She knew what she was walking into. Why go on if you're just going to fight? Another user wrote. But beneath the noise, a deeper truth emerged. Lou had come prepared to challenge the narrative, while Colbert had come prepared to mock his guest. Somewhere in the middle, the space for honest discussion collapsed. The following morning, Lou took to social media, posting a short video from her office. Dressed in a simple white blouse, she spoke directly to the camera, her voice steady. I didn't go on that show to make friends, she said. I went to speak the truth, even if it was unpopular in that room. I believe in dialogue, not echo chambers, and I won't apologize for standing my ground. Her message went viral, racking up millions of views. Supporters called it bold. Karoline LeJust showed what real courage looks like, one comment read. Critics dismissed it as a stunt. She's just fishing for attention, another user scoffed. But no one could deny the moment's impact. It revealed the gap between performance and principle in today's media landscape. Later that week, a spokesperson for the show released a brief statement. We aim to foster respectful and meaningful conversations. Sometimes segments don't go as planned. No apology, no mention of Le's removal, just a vague line wrapped in diplomacy. But her absence from the show's online clips spoke volumes. The segment was scrubbed, as if it had never happened. That erasure only fueled the fire. On X, users shared archived footage, captioning it with phrases like, they can't hide the truth, and Karoline Lou refused to be the punchline. The confrontation became a cultural clash, polished satire versus raw conviction, scripted applause versus unscripted defiance. The fallout rippled through the media world. Late-night television, once a bastion of intelligent banter and thoughtful satire, was exposed as a stage for one-sided narratives, until someone broke the rhythm. Lee broke it, and for that she was shown the door. But her exit wasn't a defeat, it was a statement. She'd walked into a lion's den and refused to play the part of the punchline, revealing how controlled the conversation can be, and how fragile hosts become when guests don't follow the script. Audiences, too, showed they weren't as easily entertained anymore. They were watching, questioning, demanding more than jokes dressed up as journalism. In the days that followed, the story dominated headlines. Political commentators on both sides weighed in. Conservative outlets hailed Lou as a hero for challenging liberal media bias, while progressive voices accused her of derailing a light-hearted show with political grandstanding. But the most telling reactions came from everyday viewers. In a small coffee shop in Omaha, a barista named Jenna replayed the clip on her phone during her break, nodding slowly. "She's right," she muttered to a co-worker. "We laugh at this stuff, but what are we actually learning?" In a Chicago apartment, a college student named M